Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As over the past 2 days, we explored breakthrough innovations, deep tech horizons, and bold ideas shaping India's future. Today, we shift our lens to talent mobility and the workforce that will power the next decade of India's transformation. Let's begin the proceedings of day 3. Our first session this morning sets the tone for the day, opening address on EV revolution. To deliver the welcome address and context setting, we invite Mr. Nikhil Jain, CS, co-founder and CEO, Vision Astra EV Academy, a leader committed to building India's next generation EV-ready workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nikhil Jain.
Good morning. So I think sorry for the little delay. So we had a final stage meeting with the ITBT minister. Thank you for joining. Welcome to day 3 of BTS 2025. This is Nikhil Jain, CS, co-founder, CEO, Vision Astra EV Academy. So, you know about automotive industry. It's one of the largest that composes $1 trillion to the impact to the world. It also leads 7% GDP to India. This 100-year-old industry having a technological shift from ICE vehicle to EV or a fuel cells. Today, Karnataka, that too specifically Bangalore, we have at least 40 to 50 EV-related OEMs, suppliers, components in and around Bangalore. With this huge, drastic change that is happening in this industry, we, Vision Astra EV Academy, helping to build a skilled manpower for the entire industry. So we closely work with the entire EV automotive industry from two-wheeler, four-wheeler, battery, motor, embedded, software, power electronics companies with the help of a center of excellence that we formed in one of the leading institute, RV College of Engineering, and then we have partnered with VTU, where we are providing 2,000 plus internship opportunities for the rural colleges. With our new center, with the setup, with the help of VTU Vice Chancellor Sir Vidya Shankar, we started EV as one of the elective and MTech programs that are coming up. The entire ecosystem is helping. Today, you'll be hearing from the topmost leaders from the EV industry. We have from the two-wheeler, four-wheeler, commercial vehicles, software side, and a battery side. Thank you so much for all the leaders that making your time and then coming here, addressing about this industry. Now, without much delay, I would like to welcome for a keynote address for Chetan Maini.
Good morning, everyone, and a pleasure to be here today in the heart of the tech hub at Bangalore. So, you know, when Nikhil asked me to speak some words, he said, just can you set some context about the EV industry, how you got into doing what we are doing today at Sun Mobility, and a bit of how we see the future move forward. So, you know, just to give a context, India produces around 25 million vehicles every year, and transportation accounts for maximum amount of emissions, and 90% of the fuel used that we import is also for transportation. So clearly energy and part of its security as well as the climate side are very important in how EVs can make a difference as we take this forward, right? Now, this also means that it's just not EVs, but how does the energy ecosystem come together? So let's just put this in context. If all 25 million vehicles produced this year were electric, very hypothetically, we would need around 30 gigawatts of renewable energy, which is around 1/5 of the renewable energy that India has produced. So the philosophy that we could actually use renewable energy and power the entire transportation in a country is huge for a country that imports its oil and has large challenges around emissions. So it's not just about the electric mobility and the technologies, but how energy comes into the whole ecosystem to ensure that we have green electrons across the entire value chain. Now, India, in the first 6 months, we did over 1 million vehicles electric. We're probably going to do over 1 million in the next 6 months. We'll cross around 2 million. Now, it seems small. It's only 8%. But what's important to get in that construct is how is this changing in different parts? For example, you're in Bangalore. Do you know that 1 in 2 scooters sold in Bangalore are electric, right? It's 54% of all scooters sold in Bangalore electric, right? We crossed the IC level. And 3 years ago, there was 18%. So see the growth of what we've seen in the last 3 years, right? Look at buses. Bangalore has 6,700 buses, 1,500 are electric, and in the next year, we're adding 2,500, right? So almost 40% of our buses will be electric by next year. Delhi's already crossed 50% electrification. In North India, 60% of all three-wheelers sold are electric. So when you start to see these little things happening in different cities and says, in the next 3 to 5 years, what would happen in the country? And with the government's goal of 30% of electrification, honestly, in many areas, we've already exceeded it at a state level. And at an overall country level, we're likely to exceed that in many areas as we think through this. Now, in spite of the EV revolution sort of taking off very well and moving in the right direction, there's still a lot of challenges, right? There's upfront cost. There's people saying range anxiety, what happens if I run out of charge? There's refueling time issues. There's infrastructure, where would I charge my vehicle, especially when I live in an apartment complex, right? And what happens as technology keeps changing and, do I buy it today or later? So it's actually with these challenges that over the last 20 years that, we started to look at, that said, listen, we have to think through this differently. And that was sort of the genesis of sort of starting Sun Mobility as battery swapping. And the idea was that, listen, if you separate the battery from the vehicle, then an electric vehicle can actually be cheaper than an internal combustion engine vehicle. And you get rid of range anxiety, you get a refueling time because it takes you a minute to do it, and the cost per kilometer is cheaper than petrol. So without any government concessions or supports, you have an ecosystem where consumers can actually move forward and you address the fundamental issues. And that's creating about a platform that we thought would really look at in a very ubiquitous way and bring this in. And honestly, a lot of this learnings for me was over the years, founding Reva over 25 years ago. One of the areas that I learned was, listen, it's not just important to have a product, but it's going to be, success is going to come when the entire ecosystem comes together to really create a win-win situation across the industry. In this process, it's also important you take all the stakeholders together, because when there's transformation happening, right, you can't do this alone, right? You've got to do this together. So as we think of, for my example, swapping infrastructure solution, the OEM benefits because they can kind of get more vehicles out there, right? If you look at an oil company, we, for example, partnered with Indian Oil and we have a joint venture with them, and you can use their 39,000 outlets. Suddenly, oil companies are becoming part of the area, because if 70% of their petrol is going to two-wheelers, what are they going to do when this changes in the next few years? You look at electricity companies, they're being part of the revolution. They're putting up infrastructure, and they're going to see how this is coming. You look at dealers. How are they going to make more money when things are going more online and services are going to be so much cheaper in electrics than they are in gas? Now we can give them infrastructure. They can even buy and sell energy, and they can be part of the swapping network, and they get, as a franchisee, allowing to be more entrepreneurial to create this front. And that's the same thing as we think through cities of how it comes together. So really, as you look at it, this ecosystem that we're putting together is going to be very important to really accelerate the electrification targets that we have both in the state as well as in the country on this front. Now, to enable this to happen, we said, where should the focus be, right? And the focus we looked at is 2- and 3-wheelers. The reason it's 80% of India, right? And the other was buses and trucks. it's actually only 5% of Indian transportation, but it's 50% of our emissions and energy. So as a country, the focus needs to be areas that really impact this piece of the equation, right? And for those who aren't as aware in swapping solutions, it's battery as a service. You come to a station, you put your RFID card, take your old battery, put it back in the station, take a new battery, and you go out. It's extremely simple. And in the case of buses and trucks, you can't do that. It's 800 kilograms, so you robotically swap it in a couple of minutes and go on. But the concept really is to reduce the size of the battery, reduce the range anxiety and the upfront cost to really make this happen. In our journey, we're still a long ways away, but today we have around 1,100 stations. Bangalore has over 250 stations today on this front and growing, and we have around 1.7 million swaps every month, over 55 fleet customers, and over 40 products on the platform that today can go, and both it's for new as well as retrofit vehicles. So, this to me was a big part of it, is that going from being a product company to going an energy company, which is enabled by technology, right? And that to me is the future, because Bangalore is this sort of confluence of all of this and trying to create an ecosystem as we look at it. Now, as we think through this, what does it mean for the industry in the years to come, right? So clearly, Nikhil alluded to it, automotive industry is $250 billion and 7% of our GDP, right? This is probably going to be $350 billion by 2030. So that business is transforming. So products that are being made specifically for India under Indian conditions, Indian environment, Indian requirements for cities are going to be very important, and these solutions will really therefore change. And so the investments we make as an industry are going to be critical. The second thing is that the bill of materials on an electric vehicle are 50% different, right? So over $100 billion opportunity that's coming on the components that go into it. And so as we think of tier one supplier investments and the ecosystem that comes in, that's huge, right? You're now building batteries and motors and controllers and all of these devices, electric air conditioning, which didn't exist earlier. What's very exciting about this space, as you think through it, is that it's the first time that technology is sort of across platforms that would come across. And let me give you a couple of examples, right? A battery that could be used in a two-wheeler, the cell module, could go in a four-wheeler and also could go in a bus and a truck, right? Today, if you think of motors, right, and I'll give an example of, for example, Tesla, right? So Tesla Model 3's motor that's used in their car, 3 of them are powering their truck, right? So have you ever thought of how a truck engine could fit in a car and vice versa? It never happened, right? So now what's happening is modular technologies that are going to have a lot of drive by electronics and software are going to transform the way we think of this industry. And are we ready, therefore, and look at the opportunities that we can gather as we take this forward on this front? In this space, clearly, investments in batteries are going to be very critical. We are weak and we are really behind on this front, and we have to really put a lot more effort on the battery side of it. Circular economy is going to be very critical. Are we thinking from day one on circular economy, right? When batteries come back, how do they get recycled? How can they get reused? We don't have minds and capabilities on this area. So the circular economy and using that in design and solutions are going to be extremely critical. The capability for us as a country to standardize components and use software-defined solutions to go ahead. For example, standard battery management system, electronic hardware, made in millions, but each one using AI and software customizes what they need with custom algorithms, right? Commonization of cells. So this could build in scale in the country, standardized chip solutions, but enable differentiation for each stakeholder as we come through. So it's about also working to create this ecosystem. And of course, this also means there are new areas coming in. There's going to be the energy ecosystem, which is battery swapping, regular charging, renewable energy integration, right? Fleet management solutions. All of these new businesses and financing, which is data-driven, are going to create new business opportunities as we think from the industry to really catapult the entire EV business in the next level. And the last thing around the industry side is how we collaborate, right? Collaboration between OEMs and the way tier ones work, the way academia works, and other solutions that come together, infrastructure partners. It's no more a sort of vertically integrated, I do everything and go out. Success is going to come through really meaningful collaborations across the systems as we look at this front. I think moving to that part is on the last part is the academia side of it, right? And And I think they're going to play a large role. And talking to Nikhil and the folks here, right? What Bangalore, we were just having a meeting earlier on this, what Bangalore did 20, 25 years ago on the sort of, when software became a huge issue, is we actually created strong training grounds, right? So everything from purpose-built engineering programs to proper systems engineering solutions to finishing schools to vocational training is going to be really critical, where we have the right trained manpower that is going to come onto this. I remember 20 years ago when I was visiting China, someone showed me a building and says, this company is hiring 10,000 engineers for EVs, right? One company, right? So the scale at which we need to do things is not one or two schools or one or two areas. How does this become something part of our culture? And the way we scale has to be at a very different level if we want to lead this industry on this front, right? And I think creating this living labs and test beds across industry and academia are going to be very important on this front. The government, of course, has a role to play. I mean, at the vision level, government has set a very good target. I think the challenge we often have there is that there's a gap between the vision and the implementation. And hopefully now the government is realizing that and going to start to work towards creating that front. I think incentivizing the R&D startups is going to be very important, because this is new technologies coming in. It's a level playing field that can happen on this front to make this area. Infrastructure is going to play a very important role, right? Vehicles can come out, people can be ready, but unless the infrastructure is there, and it's not the government's role to put out the infrastructure, but it's the government's role to put out the electricity side of it. It's like putting out the roads, right? And it's then the company's role to put out the the charging infrastructure. But this sort of collaboration is going to be very important, because as the cities exceed, the kind of, I was talking to one of the other folks here who is doing two-wheelers, and he says, infrastructure is going to become the big challenge as we cross more and more adoption on this front, right? So I think, this is a very good time. I mean, doing this for 25 years, to be honest with you, more than 25 years, this is probably everything is coming together right now, right? From policy has changed completely. It's very positive. The cost of renewable energy has come down. Technologies have advanced so much. Battery costs used to be, at that time over over $1,000, $1,100 per kilowatt hour, which is now $50 a kilowatt hour, is 20x lower, right? So when you look at consumer adoption, people are now trying to look at electrics, right? So there's sort of everything is coming together, and of course at this you have a lot of more financing now available than you have. So very bullish about how this can happen. Bangalore started a lot of this revolution. It continues to lead it. And I think the key for all the stakeholders here is how do we continue this leadership and really make it the EV capital in the state of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Yadu Jatavedan to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Chetan Maini, and I request Nikhil to come on the stage. Chetan Maini, a pioneer of India's electric revolution, the man who turned imagination into mobility. Mr. Chetan Maini, Director, Maini Group, is the force behind India's first electric car and a global advocate of sustainable energy. Now we move on to the panel discussion. I request all the panelists to be on the stage. Mr. Mahesh Babu.
Please, Mr. Prashant Doraiswamy, President and CEO, Continental India. Mr. Saranjit Randhawa, Head of Strategy, Volvo India. Mr. Sirish Bachu, President, Embitel Technologies. And Mr. Mohal Lalbhai, Founder and CEO, Matter. Please join me on the stage. Again, thank you to everybody who joined us on BTS. We got delayed a little bit. The speakers were there at 9:30, but we had another meeting before we could join us. So for the interest of time, we'll cut it short to like 2 rounds. I'll go over the panel. We heard beautifully from Chetan how the industry is getting transformed and what Sun Mobility is doing. I'll start the panel with Chetan directly asking him, what was it like being India's first company to build its electric car, Reva, the most popular. Some would say it was actually ahead of its time and was built in Bangalore. What was the journey like that at that time, probably 2 decades, to what is now, building a company in the EV space? So would you like to share some insights, Chetan, on that?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's been 25 years since that happened. And, you were at a point where it was hard to get people, develop technology, suppliers didn't believe in you, financiers didn't finance it, right? There was no policy for certifying electric vehicle. Certification agencies didn't even know how to test an electric vehicle. And, we can go on and on this front. But what's very exciting today is that there's a 180 degree, right? Policy is so favorable. I remember when we launched the REVA, the government removed subsidies and double taxes on electrics, and today the government is rolling out a red carpet to support it, right? If I look at the kind of people coming out and their openness, a lot of it is also because the world has become flat. Access to information is so much, and the areas of how you can use software and electronics really change that. So I think that's been another key part on this front. Third, I think that the cost of energy has come down tremendously, right? Renewable used to be very expensive, today it's $3 a unit, which means it's cheaper than fossil fuel, and that would look at a big part of it, right? And then I would say that the areas around how the suppliers are looking at, how consumers are thinking through, how financiers are thinking through, both for vehicle as well as venture capital and PE, is completely different. So we are, as I mentioned, everything's coming together, and really excited today where we stand and what we can do as a country.
Okay, thank you, Chetan. Next, I'll go to Prashant. Prashant, Continental is one of the largest, tier 1s in the world. So, how do you see, as a Continental Group, this transition from ICE to EV, and how are you positioning your company for that?
If you see, the automotive has been going through a lot of transformation for the last 5 years. And if you ask me, is it going to stop now? I don't think so. It'll happen for the next 1 decade or so. So one such transformation is electrification. And this is more of a revolution in nature, I would say. If we talk about other technologies like connected or convenient technology, it's more consumer driven. But this started as forced on us by governments and regulations. So that's where the challenge is. As we speak, India, as of now, in passenger cars, it's about 4.8%, and almost in line with US. US is about 5%. So it's picking up. I think the first biggest transition what we have seen is in two-wheelers, certainly. I think the target of around 30 by 2030, sure, we are moving towards that. And also the next is in the three-wheelers and also on the intra-city buses, certainly I think that's pick up. When it comes to passenger cars, I think if it's about 15 to 18% by 2030, we should be really happy. Because it's a combination of things. One is still, there's no cost parity between the electric and the ICE for this thing. I'm sure over the next few years, we should be able to bridge the gap. And the second is the infrastructure, in terms of the charging infrastructure. I think that's where I think industry, alongside government, we need to work on interoperability. And how do we make this much more accessible for the people is which is going to really drive the adoption of EV vehicles, I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prashant. Next, I'll invite Mr. Mohal, who is the founder and CEO of a company called Matter. It's based out of Gujarat. How many of you heard about Matter? Can you raise your hands? Yes, few of you. So Mohal will explain. So Mohal, I wanted to ask you this question. As a founder, being an EV OEM, you choose a segment which is not well known in India for EV adoption, which is motorcycles segment. A lot of two-wheeler companies started from the Ather, Rotala, who is there in Bangalore, and many others have come. All the big players, TVS, Bajaj, have all entered the scooter market, but not so the motorcycle market. So why did you choose that segment, and what was your insight at that point to pick that?
So for us, we wanted to go where India's choice for mobility is a motorcycle. I think 2/3 of the two-wheeler market is motorcycle. While that choice was and still continues to be the right one, the path to getting to where we are has been way more difficult than we ever imagined it to be. Motorcycles, surprisingly, are harder to produce than scooters. At least that's what I've learned the hard way right now. Having said that, India is a country which needs SUVs in all types of wheel configurations. So, you have your standard SUVs for your four-wheelers, but motorcycles are the SUVs for the two-wheeler world. And, this trend's been there for the last 25 years. Considering the road infrastructure, the use cases, motorcycles are something which are essentially inherent to every Indian household at different stages of life. And that is where solving for this piece, having the maximum impact across, is something that we started with. That was the endeavor. The journey, yeah, I mean, it's been a tough one because while scooters have had a 20-year head start, unfortunately motorcycles don't have a lot, and vertical integration became the only way forward because you have to build out everything that you need because nobody else has something even remotely close to what you need. And that's been the journey so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohal. Next, I'll invite Mr. Soranjit Randhawa, who is a strategy head for Volvo India. So Soranjit, I wanted to ask you, Volvo is a major automotive brand, right? You have huge operations worldwide. What is your specific future investments that you are making, especially in the electric mobility space, and how do you see Volvo in India operations? Do you have any particular products for the India market that you're targeting, or can you please explain that?
Yeah, thank you. So just to start, Volvo Group is what I represent, and we own buses, trucks, construction equipment, and engines. And globally speaking, everything we're investing now is into the future because we have a target of net zero by 2040. And including the fact that there are huge opportunities with the advent of digitalization, automation, and connectivity. Here, our major investment is in three pathways. The number one is battery electric. And I just want to start by saying we are from the heavy-duty trucks segment, which is considered the hard to abate. If scooter to motor is tough, then motor to a 55-ton tractor trailer is even tough. So we're talking about those vehicles. So we're talking about investing, and we're already investing and continue well, in battery electric trucks and buses and construction equipment and engines, in fuel cells of the same products, and finally also IC engines, but IC engines with fossil-free fuel, like bio-LNG, hydrogen, etc. While we go ahead in this journey of investment in these areas, simultaneously we are moving towards many other issues with respect to, I assume it's electric vehicles we're talking largely. Electric vehicles also enable the software-defined vehicle because of the heavy digitalization going on. So the software-defined vehicle is the next major area we're going to work. Along with that, there'll be a lot of work done on lighter materials, simply because weight in the vehicle is a major issue when you have more batteries, and to have range, this is the important area to move. Then we have invested and will do more work in the area of Volvo Energy. We have a separate company which is taking care of the entire value chain of the batteries, including development of solutions like BIEC. So this is from the first vehicle, right down, from the vehicle first life of the battery, right down to the recycling or the second life of the battery. So there's a lot of work and digitalization required in that area, including investment into charging stations. Then finally, if I'm taking too much time, comes the area that we're investing a lot in partnerships. So basically, the fuel cell which I talked about, we have set up a unit company together with Daimler, which is our #1 competition earlier. But now we work together with them. In software-defined vehicles, we have another joint venture with Daimler. When we are setting up the charging stations, like Chetan mentioned that the government has to set bases, but we have to work together. So we are working with them and Traton on setting up charging stations in Europe, for instance. And now recently, yesterday in COP30, you would have heard an announcement where Tata Motors and Volvo Group in India signed a joint collaboration to work on the ecosystem with respect to heavy-duty vehicles. So finally, what is happening in India is that we have already started working in seeding electric construction equipment, that is excavators, compactors, and wheel loaders. We've also started seeding, and we're running today between Bangalore and Chennai, 2 Volvo electric trucks. And thereon, we have a lot of work coming up in other areas when it comes to the Indian market. But of course, we invested recently 2,000 crores into the Indian hub, which is will become the 4th international hub. That means our focus will lie in the regional value chain, which means a huge amount of localization in this area. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Suranjit. Next question is for our panelist, Mr. Sirish Bachu, President of MBTEL. So, Sirish, MBTEL, as part of the Volkswagen Group, you are the service segment for entire Volkswagen Group. I would like to understand from you, you've been working from the ICE world to now the EV or electric mobility. Where do you see the demand massively coming for your services? Is India even a player? Are Indian OEMs approaching you? And how is that growth you see for your office that you have in Bangalore that you are heading?
So, Yadu, I think a lot of the panelists spoke about the hard things about the market part and then the components part of it. But then, if you look at the overall picture, software is becoming a prime part in the whole EV scenario and the global mobility scenario. And here is where, being a part of the Volkswagen Group, a lot more focus is coming on India from the entire group, whether it is Audi, Porsche, or Volkswagen itself. There are so many brands within the group. Now they're looking at India as a center for offshoring and MBTEL as a hub for enhancing the entire software development which goes into the vehicles part of it. But having said that, the challenges are completely different because when you look at the group like Volkswagen, it is more about the scale, kind of what kind of platforms are getting created and what kind of a scale at which they bring the whole stuff. So, and even the vehicle architectures which are there, though the electric drivetrain is coming in, it is all moving towards the centralized architectures now and zonal architectures. And that is where complexity comes in terms of how do you address the software piece in the whole scheme of things. You know, that is where the SDV takes much more importance in terms of how we are giving a framework to this, how we are making sure they're validated properly, and the reliability is also ensured at the same time. So this is what is the global scale, and also for the tech part of it, because this is a fast-changing or a fast-moving space. There are a lot of partnerships which you're seeing in the industry. For example, Volkswagen has invested in Rivian to take the tech stack from them for the next generation EV platforms, whereas a lot of in-house development is also happening for that. But when it comes to Indian OEMs, when you mention about, the challenge is completely different because more than the scale, it is how to get started, how to get the critical mass in the industry, especially on the four-wheeler side. And that is where it has got more to do with what kind of frugal innovation we bring and what kind of cost-sensitive solutions what you bring to the market. I think that is where the more key. So when we talk of a big platforms and then all these centralized architectures, that is not yet relevant, I would say, in the Indian market because of the initial scale what we need to surpass. Once the scale comes, we can talk about those things. So that's where I think it becomes a critical piece in the whole scheme of things, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sirish. So for the sake of time, we'll just do one more round with the panel. So I'll go with Chetan next. Chetan, with Sun Mobility, you have brought a new technology, which is swappable batteries, which is kind of not known in the market or the consumers. In the swappable battery technology, a vehicle comes without the battery. You have a swappable battery that you can swap it in a charge station, etc. Why did you go for that versus a lot of the OEMs, like Matter here, have fixed battery, they come up with it, and then you have to rely on a charging infrastructure to charge it whenever they are going. So what was your key insight to go with that technology, and how do you see, and these two standards, are they mutually exclusive? If swappable technology picks up, would that mean chargers we don't need? Or if the charging technology is there everywhere, do people not need the swappable battery technology? Can you please educate us? This is probably common questions you get, yeah.
Yeah, I think the first thing, there is no silver bullet, right? So all these technologies are going to coexist. They're all going to make electric vehicles more successful, right? As I discussed earlier, swapping means lower upfront cost, range anxiety, refueling time, all of these go away. So you're going to see swapping starting off more on the delivery, shared mobility segment, where lower cost, upfront time, low downtime are going to be very important drivers when you look at it, right? The second thing is when cities start to cross 20%, infrastructure will become, 20% adoption, infrastructure will become an issue, right? So very often you have a three-wheeler, two-wheeler, you don't know how to charge it once the infrastructure comes in. So swapping will play a very large role on that front, right? A lot of the private individuals, if they do small kilometers, will probably go towards a fixed charging option on this area, especially if they have infrastructure at home. But if they're probably driving more, they probably would likely to choose either or. So you'll see both of these coexist, both build the industry out as we move forward on this front. But to put something in context, in some of the locations we have 4 swapping stations, right? So 4 swapping stations in a day, each is around 3 feet wide, so maybe around 12 to 15 feet of real estate space, would give you around 800 swaps a day. That means it can cater to 800 scooters. It's like a gas pump, right? Now, if you think through, you want 800 scooters and you want charging infrastructure, you use a ratio of, say 8:1. So you need 100 charging stations. 100 charging stations at probably 3 feet a pop would be 300 feet, right? So now you've taken real estate and compressed it by 20, 30x, right? And you're trying to say that the scale is going up, the infrastructure has to be commensurate with that. So swapping will allow you to have infrastructure at the same level, right? So today in a city like Bangalore, it has 83 LPG stations catering to 200,000 vehicles. It took in Bangalore 20 years to set up this infra, right? We today have 250 stations in the last 2 years, right? So when you start to think through, and in Delhi we have 500 stations at 1 every 2 kilometers, right? With a goal to make it one at a station at every kilometer. Now when you have a station at every kilometer, you're saying, I don't care about infra, I'm just going to buy an electric because it makes so much more sense. So both are going to coexist, right? It's just going to be let customers adopt, let the market grow, and let them choose what they believe is right for them.
Thank you, Chetan. I'll go to Prashant next. Prashant, Continent has been in operation in Bangalore for many, many years, right? You have deep talent, I think about 8,000 people you have in your R&D center.
More than 6,000.
More than 6,000, yeah. So in this new paradigm, right, with electric mobility coming in, autonomous vehicles coming in, ADAS systems, etc. How do you hire and retain talent, right? Is Bangalore the right place where you get a plethora of talent across the spectrum? It is not only automobile, mechanical, but also kind of all kinds of embedded systems, software, everything else. So what are your challenges, especially being a competitive market like Bangalore, where you have to compete against talent, right? It's like Google's and the Microsoft, and everyone is there, the Intels of the world. So what is your strategy for that? And do you feel like there's a dearth of talent in this market?
Sure. Maybe 5-6 years back, when you were in automotive domain, people used to rotate within the automotive. But now the technologies are getting blurred. And most of the technologies, what you see in car today, it's all from adjacent markets. You're talking about software-defined vehicle, new architectures, it's always existed in software systems, right? So that has become even more challenging. At the same time, the advantage is your ability to attract, be it cybersecurity or cloud computing from a technology company is also easier today. So that way it has its both advantages and disadvantages. And what we have been doing to retain talent, that's one of the biggest challenges, certainly given Bangalore having about 40% of the GCCs located in Bangalore. I think first one is, I would say, is how do you bring in purpose? Just to give an example, we are one of the leaders in brake systems, electronic brakes. How do we attach purpose to this, saving lives? And even talking about ADAS, level 1, level 2 are all about assisted functions. So that's also extended safety, saving lives, yeah? If you're talking about displays, that how do we bring in joy to the people? So that's the purpose, how do we bring in?
Yes.
Second is certainly in terms of practicality. So how do you make the work really challenging and continuous learning?
Yes.
And a supportive ecosystem for their growth. Okay. And the third is certainly from the perspective of people first. We don't see resources, people as resources, rather we see them as creators.
Wonderful.
So these are three, I would say our approach have been, so with this we've been able to keep our really attrition rate much, much better than the benchmark, I would say.
Wonderful, wonderful. So for the sake of time, we'll take one last question. I'll go to Mohal. So Mohal, you explained about the motorcycle market, right? And what is unique about Matter is you are the only company making geared electric vehicles, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yep. What made you do that design choice versus all the other, both, whether it is two-wheelers, four-wheelers, etc., mostly are gearless. So can you please explain that? And that'll be the last question for the.
So when we started looking at the product design and the product spec, few things came in, but it was the heart and the soul of the product which we really wanted to keep. And then there's a million justifications to something you can always find, but it was the familiarity, it was the natural transition path. I mean, even if you look at the era today, if nobody points out it's an electric, it is going to be difficult for you to call out that it's an electric. And that was the vision from the start, that this is a transitionary period. And, time is going to tell us where we actually end up. But for the next few years, products which are very comfortable for people to transition out of internal combustion into EVs are going to be necessary. Scooters have gone through this cycle, cars have gone through this cycle, now is the time for motorcycles. Again, as Chetan said on swapping and fixed battery, I don't think there is a right or a wrong answer. The same way I can go and talk about, people say that, hey, have you tried out this cell chemistry, that cell chemistry? Again, there's no silver bullet. As technology lines are getting blurred, is what was just mentioned, more and more choices are going to start opening up to customers. And that is the right way of letting the industry evolve and letting consumers make the right choices. I mean, eventually consolidation will happen maybe 5, 10, 15 years from now, but right now it's the time to explore and not really be constrained. And trust me, from the kind of feedback we have seen from the customers over the last few months, I think we really need to speed up what we are doing. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the panel. Thank you for Chetan.
Thank you to our esteemed panel for insightful and energizing discussion. I request Chetan to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Nikhil. And I request Mr. Nikhil to give token of appreciation to Mr. Sirish, Mr. Prashant Doreswamy, Mr. Sohanjit, Mr. Mohal Lalbai, and our moderator, Mr. Edu Chatavedan. India's mobility future is not just electric. It is intelligent, inclusive, and inevitable. Let's gear up for our next leadership address. Thank you, panelists. Thank you. ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ To carry forward the momentum, we now invite a leader who has dedicated his life to entrepreneurship, youth empowerment, and national capacity building. Please welcome Madan Padaki, President, TiE, Bangalore. Dear delegates, please be seated. We are starting up our next session. We request you to be seated. We'll be moving with the session. When future needs direction, we turn to voices that build ecosystem. To carry forward this momentum, we now invite a leader who has dedicated his life to entrepreneurship, youth empowerment, and national capacity building. Please welcome Madan Padaki, President, TiE, Bangalore. Mr. Madan Padaki, the stage is yours.
Hi, good morning, Eldrigu Namaskara. May I just request everybody to just settle down for a minute. Thank you. Excellent. Good morning again and welcome to this edition of the Industry Academia Conclave. This is the first time that we are collaborating together at the Bengaluru Tech Summit with NHRD, TiE Bangalore, to bring together perspectives on what does it really take to unleash the potential of our youth. So may I, just to get some energy into the room, may I have everybody just bring some energy with an applause to the entire organizing team in getting us all together. As you would have seen over the last few days, every conversation, as I see, has just in the Bengaluru Tech Summit has converged into three themes only, right? One is youth, the other is AI, and the third is where are the economic opportunities, how do we create jobs and more jobs, and how do we create economic opportunities for our young people, either as entrepreneurs or as jobs, into the sector. The next 2 hours is going to be focused on that, on conversations on what we can all do together. I hope that this conversation that happened today will result into some collaborative action that we can all take. As you're aware, LEAP itself is a big initiative by the government of Karnataka, the local economy acceleration program. And under LEAP, one of the big areas that we will work on is to do tens and hundreds of hackathons across the state to kind of inspire young people to think, to innovate, and to solve local problems. One of the areas that I would look for as support from everybody here is, as we roll out these hackathons across the state, I think we'll start off from January, and we will do about 50 hackathons in the span of a year. We would need each and every one of you from the HR GCC space to come out with real life problems for our young students to think about, to help them think through the innovation models, to help them apply AI to their journeys, and eventually how can we then identify the best of the talent that we can support. This is one ask. The other ask that we are also looking at is delighted to have the Honorable Vice Chancellor of VTU here, which is the largest technology university in the country, and we are working with VTU to create opportunities for 50, 60,000 students, especially in the beyond Bengaluru clusters, to visit our villages, create case studies and use cases on AI, and bubble it up to real world life. And that initiative we are going to launch again from Jan. So needless to say, maybe as you exit out, one of the things we will do is we'll have our team standing out with a mic to say, what are you committing for the youth of our state and for our country? I would urge each of you to think hard about what commitments we can make, and we will be sure that we'll follow up with you on those commitments. I know we're running a little bit behind schedule, so without further ado, I would like to get the team to start off. Again, a huge round of gratitude from our side to Dr. Naganagowda and the entire team at NHRD for partnering with us, and look forward to taking this partnership forward. Thank you.
Now I request Mr. Mr. Naganagowda for felicitating our opening address, Madan Padaki. Madan Padaki, please on stage. Thank you. Academia doesn't follow the future, it architects it. Here is a voice shaping the workforce of tomorrow today. Our keynote speaker is a global transformation leader guiding organizations on talent, learning, and digital acceleration. Please welcome Kishore Durg, Managing Director, Accenture LearnVantage. I would like to invite one more keynote speaker, a distinguished academic leader shaping India's engineering and research ecosystem, Dr. Vidya Shankar, Vice Chancellor, VTU, continues to drive excellence with vision and reform. Please welcome to the stage, sir. Now I request Mr. Kishore for his keynote address.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share how Accenture sees the world, how we are seeing the global businesses evolve, and what we are doing in a very small way to help build the talent pool in India. We want to be the talent creators for India. That's our vision, that's our ambition. That's how we are looking to shape the next generation of leaders to drive the innovation, the creativity, and put India front and center in terms of how global businesses are run and how global businesses are driven. Just from a learning construct, if you really look at the workforce itself, it's changing. What I graduated from, I did my master's also, what I learned, it just got, I had about 10 years to pick up a new skill. It was, first 10 years of my life was I could survive with what I knew. Now, I get scared for my daughters who are in the first year of their new careers, that, whatever they have learned, will it last 2 years? Will it last 3 years of surviving in a corporate environment, surviving the changes in the business environment? So that is the acceleration, that is the change that we are seeing in terms of how people need to learn. And learning was, from a corporate perspective, used to say at least you have to spend 10 hours, 20 hours of learning in a year, and maybe a little bit more. But today, every 15 days, every 20 days, there's a net new module that is mandatory for people to learn. That is how I would say the skilling needs are evolving. And that is why we felt as Accenture that we need to focus on this very key aspect of business. And we decided that we're going to invest $1 billion in this, to not only have a backward integration for the talent pool that joins Accenture, but we want to share that with our enterprise pool, which are also people who are technologists. We want to work with our ecosystem partners, the biggest cloud providers, the biggest AI providers, and also with government and public sector. That's how we see this. And I'd like to share a little bit of how we are thinking through a lot of this. We actually did, we talked to a lot of people, 14,000 people we talked to, and they all said that 84% expect an agent to work with people. So every time we used to solution for our clients, any deals that we used to do, it was always about how many people do we need. And it is dramatically different. It's not only that we believe that the job can be done faster, but it's also our clients are challenging us that with AI coming in, why do you need so many people to do the job. But the answer to that question is, it is a pair. Our people will learn faster, they will do a lot more, and the agents will help us. And the question is that how do we enable the people to learn to work with agents so that they can guide us in doing the right job. But the challenge is only 25% or 26% are collaborating today. They still are doing the old way. They're not working with the tools that are available to them. And the other challenge is businesses work on return on investment. Is it giving me a return on investment? And at the enterprise level, value creation is very small even today. So while there is an attraction in allowable giving a new website in five seconds, it's about how do we deploy it, how do we ensure that it is enterprise ready, and how do we make sure it works. That is the key challenge that is ahead of us. Now, one of the things that needs to happen is we always used to send people to Chicago. You know, Chicago is where we have we actually bought a university in Chicago, a small university outside of Chicago. And there are like 1,000 beds there, as good as you become a student. You have cafeteria, you have massive halls, you have hundreds of coaching spaces, and that's where we used to train people. But India itself, we have more than 350,000 people today. And with AI coming in, we need to understand how the co-learning can happen. How can agents learn from us? How can we learn from agents? Now, the key question is, how do both of them evolve? The agents are not perfect. They can throw a bad answer at you. It's not that it is the last word. Now, how do we ensure the agents are learning properly and also teaching our people properly? So every time I send an email now, just to check, I do a co-pilot review of what I've written. Now, 99% of the time it works. But the point is that it's also learning. It's also learning our style. It's learning how we shape our answers. So the question is, learning is not just about the person understanding a new concept. It's also teaching the agent along with us to make sure it learns the right thing with us. So what are the barriers for that in creating this new environment of co-learning, as I call it? In the co-learning environment, there are a couple of conditions that have to be met together. It is about being curious and creative. I should not be afraid of it. The biggest challenge in any enterprise channels, whether any function, supply chain, procurement, finance, anything that you do, the biggest challenge is the fear of unknown. How can I be creative and curious to understand what can it do to help me so that I'm not afraid of it? That's number one. And second bit is learning is not another distinct activity that happens along the way. And people feel, oh, if you're going for learning, your productivity is gone for that day. That's how people think. That's not how it should be. The condition two is learning is part of your job. Learning is not a distinct, non-productive activity. It is part of your productivity. The productivity is, oh, are you going to take me off my client job? No, it is part of your client job. You have to learn. Every enterprise have their own agents now. Every company will have their own agents. These agents are going to be with you, support you, help you. It is not a distinct, oh, are you not going to be working for this client for so many amount of time? No, the answer is day in, day out, minute after minute, second after second, I'm learning. I'm learning with the agent. So that's the second condition. The third condition is hardwiring trust. What do I mean by that? I need to trust. And to build trust, that comes from data. To make sure the data that we feed the agent is unbiased. It has ability to ensure that the advice we get has some hard wiring to it. That is a very critical part because you feed in bad data, you get bad answers. And then we need to, just as laptops became a way of life, I think AI will be a way of life for us. It is not a distinct, another thing that is there, but it is going to be part of our life in how we'll live and work. Now, I don't want to, kind of overemphasize on this. A lot of our study has shared that people who work with agents are far more productive than people who do not work with agents. And we've also seen, in fact, I'll give you one small example. We had a small product company, and they are the best in supply chain business. They wanted to actually white label their service to other supply chain companies. Now you have an engineering team which is very good at that product. Now there are 100 different companies which wants the same product, but you can't create 100 different engineering teams to support the white labeling effort. So you need an agent. You need an agent to translate that core product into 100 different ways of doing it. And that's where the agents become effective. And they are 8 times more productive than hiring 100 different engineering teams to do the same thing. So that's what we believe as the benefits. Now, coming down to India, I just wanted to share a little bit of how we are thinking globally. What is our strategy? I want to say a little bit on India itself. I mean, the amount of investment that we are doing as a government, as a state government, as institutions of eminence, incredible investments that have been going into this space. And in very much not just the Google's infrastructure out there, but even the Karnataka government's initiative of setting up the AI center in Biddi. It's a phenomenal investment that's happening. Now, a lot of this has to translate to actual impact for people on the ground. And that's where I believe that if we can partner with, it's actually, I would say, a triangle between the enterprises, the academia, and the government. If we can come together, I think we will be able to change a lot of the elements that you see or hear in terms of how we can increase the placements. One of the things we have done in Accenture today is, when we hire people, we actually put them through 6 months of additional training after they graduate. They have done 4 years of graduation. Then we put them 6 months more within the company to train. They're not productive. What we have done now is we have started to give, as Accenture, we have acquired Udacity, which actually has a nano degree that Udacity offers. 6 months prior to graduation, they have to do a couple of nano degrees. Nano degrees are essentially, I would say, half of a semester, 3 months, which will have actual assignments. There will be gradation. There will be faculty which will decide you pass or fail. So it's a very much, I would say Udacity was created out of Stanford, where we recreated the Stanford teaching assistant, research assistant, but outside of the university. So essentially, you get a grade of a 3 months, I would say, detailed learning, but you also get a nano degree. It's not a real degree, but it's something that you need to be proud of. Now, we are doing that to kind of increase the confidence of people who come in outside of campuses and directly get into a client job. The other element that I see is on the Nipuna program that the government is doing, phenomenal initiatives there. So from our perspective, I was just sharing that we have invested $1 billion, and a bulk of the investments are in India also. So we have acquired Talent Sprint. Talent Sprint is very critical for us to reach out to academia. It's our arm to reach out to academias. We work with IIMs, IISc, IIT, IIT, all of the programs that we do with them is, I would say, significant in terms of our outreach to upskill. The pool that is in the enterprises, so people who are in the 30s within the enterprise want to upskill themselves. They do want a degree. They do want a certification. They want to be in management instead of technology. So we have the certification programs, the degree programs with IIM Calcutta, other IIMs that we have. And there are a lot of technologists who want to be getting a degree with IIT Delhi, for example. So we have that program. So from Accenture's perspective, we are leveraging Talent Sprint to increase the pool who can graduate. The question of scalability comes in, right? How many people can you have in a classroom? So how do we ensure that you have 350,000 people in Accenture? How do I ensure I get them advanced degrees? They can't enroll in a 100-seater class. So I want to scale. The ability to scale is through Talent Sprint for us. So we have enabled that to get the best of, I would say, the university degrees, but also enable them to get a certification they can be proud of, and then they can be back in the campus. So they're not leaving the job. They're doing the job, but it's a 2-year program for them, and we are paying for it. And sometimes enterprises pay for it. I've seen a lot of enterprises like Apple and others pay for those programs so that their people can be skilled. And we are very proud of these programs, whether it is in India. We also have arrangements with Carnegie Mellon and others, and UMesh as well. One of the other things we are doing is setting up for enterprises the concept of AI Infinity, essentially bringing together a lot of the startup ecosystem, the partners, to enable enterprises to skill themselves. The other bit which we are very proud of and we want to do and kind of scale this up is, you cannot have training enabled as students graduate at the end of their learning, I would say start of their learning program. But we want to inculcate that in the high schools, inculcate that in the primaries, and that's why we wanted to start this concept of AI Olympiad. Just as people are proud of Math Olympiad, we want this AI Olympiad to be that brand, that aspiration, that people will say that I'm one of the 10 or 20 or 100 people who have been in the AI Olympiad. And we're looking for help and support from our universities and academia to run this. And we want to shape it as India-originated program. AI Olympiad is not there anywhere. We would like to partner with all of you to see if we can run it in India, get the best top 10, top 100 AI Olympiad champions in India. That would be a proud moment for us. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to shape how we're shaping careers in India. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Vidya Shankar, Vice Chancellor, with you for his keynote.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Thank you, Kishore Dagji, the MD of Accenture Learned Wage, for throwing light on the academia and the industry. Collaboration is, more collaborations are required. I'll spell out what VTU is doing to bring more industry academia collaboration through our platform in my detailed speech. It's a privilege to stand before this distinguished gathering at the Bengaluru Tech Summit 2025, a platform that brings together the most influential minds shaping India's technological landscape. As the Vice Chancellor of Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi, and the Chairman of Visvesvaraya Research and Innovation Foundation, I am honored to share how academia and especially our work at VTU is driving India's journey towards a tech-empowered future. Today, I wish to outline the transformative steps we are taking to reimagine engineering education for the future of India. We have adopted cutting-edge technologies into our curriculum starting from the first semester itself. Over the past 2 years, we at VTU worked with major objective to make engineering education more future-ready, more flexible, and more aligned with industry. Guided by the National Education Policy NEP 2020, a revamped multidisciplinary curriculum beginning in 22-23, students now enjoy greater academic mobility, wider learning pathways, and the ability to explore beyond traditional boundaries. This year, we have launched a VTU curriculum 2025 designed to prepare engineers for the next decade. Some key elements in our curriculum include AI and its applications. As a core foundation course for all the branches, I can assure you that this is the only university which has introduced AI as a common core subject in the first semester itself, making all the students to learn the basics of AI. Of course, now there is no doubt that the government is thinking to introduce AI from the third standard level itself. But definitely it's a beginning. There will be a more AI introduced subjects in all the branches in the coming semesters. Stronger industry-oriented labs and practical exposure, programming in C for every student, integrated applied and physics and chemistry, stream-specific CAD training, and AI-enabled soft skills to build confidence and global workplace readiness. Mandatory final year, either 7th semester or 8th semester, industry-oriented internship for students. This is the one new program wherein a flexibility is given in very bigger way. I can say that they can go and do the internship in any part of the world, not restricted to our own state or our own country. Let them do either in Stanford or Harvard University also. There are students working, started already. They have got the internships from many of the established universities in the foreign countries also, Japan, anywhere. Let them go and do and acquire the skill. That is what the, and this is the biggest platform wherein 83 students have already enrolled to do the internship. Only the industries need to come forward to offer the free internship or paid internship, whatever it is. My biggest request for the entire industry community is to come to our platform. We have already, including the IITs, we have sent a letter. Enroll yourself in our platform. It is a very simple procedure, no need to think. Only for small industries we'll go for in check-in. For very well-established multinational companies, there is no such testing or verifying the eligibility conditions. And the students, we have given work to the students also in that platform. The platform can support 1 lakh students. Daily, they have to enter a diary between 5 to 12 of what they have done. This is the first of its kind to make the students to get exposed to the industry internship better way, rather than simply going and bringing the certificate at the end of the internship program. A major highlight and a first of its kind initiative in VTU's BIEC curriculum for 2025 is the introduction of Innovation and Design Thinking Lab, giving a credit. It was not there, credit system was not there. It was just a lab, but now we have made it a credit system. Here the students visit to the various stakeholders in the society, have interaction with them, seek the challenges faced by them, and find out the solutions with the help of the technology. For that, we have a monitoring system. Simply saying that introduction of an AI lab or a design thinking lab, whether they are doing or not, we are creating an app where all the 1 lakh students, approximately 1 lakh students' activities will be monitored by a single app. Of course, through third-party participation, there is a monitoring. Now, in the university, students' credit is nothing is free. That means they have to work and earn the credits. For that, there is a clear monitoring system. We have created an app even for this. When they visit, where they will visit, which place they will visit, and what they will do, everything is monitored, will be monitored by an app. Students learn creativity, empathy, ideation, and rapid prototyping through a dedicated activity-based lab. This shift from the theory to hands-on learning ensures that every student learns to think like an innovator from day one. And at this point of time, I want to place one thing on record that rural students, Tier 3 city students have fared better. In the recently conducted hackathon by ISRO, wherein the students just joined 15 days back to the college, they won a first place and they have taken eligibility for the second round at the global level. This is what I want to say in my address to this August gathering, that the students of Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also can fare better. At this point of time, to encourage my own students, I'll always say, as per the recent NDA, India Today reports, out of every 3 employees of the Apple and NVIDIA, 2 are from the affiliated colleges of engineering, not excluding IITs and IIMs. So, now the industry need to come forward to promote certain activities, internship activities voluntarily through our platform to promote such talent, and young talent from Tier 3 and Tier 2 cities also. Because I see one thing, that there are not lot of opportunities being given to a Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. That's why, of course, VTU now is taking many things which will help, which is going to help the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities students also. We have introduced already this year from 25-26 onwards. We have reserved 10 crores for hackathon and startup activities from VTU to encourage more hackathons and more ideathons in Tier 3 and Tier 2 cities without depending on anybody for fund. We are self-capable to, we have sufficient funds. We are going to introduce such hackathons from next year onwards. And there are hackathons going on, but still from our, that is sponsored by the companies, either Samsung or Accenture, whatever it is. But here afterwards, it is independently. VTU can host hackathon and idea creations and promote startup activities or entrepreneurial activities among our affiliated college students. We have also accelerated digital transformation across the university. All academic and examination services are now online. VTU became the first public technical university to launch online technical degree programs. We announced results within 7 days and once even within 1 hour to the last exam. And we became the first Indian university to deliver results to students through WhatsApp. To bridge the gap between learning and industry, we have established several centers of excellence: CNC, Machine Shop, 5G, 6G, Technologies Lab, AR, VR Lab, Drone and Aerospace Center, Hardware and Design Prototyping Lab, iSpark Robotics and Automation, Electric Vehicle Lab, 3D Printing Center, and Schneider Electric COEs and Automation and Solar Energy. All these have been completed and we have established and ready for students for internship program in this by December, and they are all working. These centers strengthen their hands-on learning, and these centers are all in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities only, not in Bengaluru. Whatever the VTU thinks, VTU always thinks of, I know, there will be a lot of opportunities for the students studying in Bengaluru. Maybe certain percentage may not be, but still VTU concentrates and takes care of every student's welfare and providing a lot of opportunities to students to get exposed to reskill or skill and reskill or upskill. These centers strengthen hands-on learning and encourage students to build, experiment and innovate. We launched a centralized VTU internship portal capable of supporting more than 1 lakh students, giving access to both global and local opportunity. We also strengthened our international presence through MOUs with universities like USA, France, Japan and Germany. Not only that, VTU is the first university in the country to launch outreach MTech postgraduate programs by signing an MOU with, we have already started signing an MOU with QPI and QNU in MTech quantum computer, the first of its kind in any public technical university other than the IITs and IITs. The VRF in just 2 years has emerged as a strong innovation ecosystem. 1,800 students trained in design thinking, entrepreneurship camp shaping 22 young innovators, deep skilling in AI, IoT, EV, drone, cloud and VLSI, hosting MSME Summit and Smart India Hackathon Grand Finale, leading 275 plus students to Startup Mahakumbha and delegation of 108 with 11 pitching teams, supporting 29 Fintech startups teams through RBIH and Canara Bank, securing rupees 10 crore for a technology business incubator, running 2 cohorts with 26 emerging startups. VRAF is rapidly becoming one of the Karnataka's strongest engines for students' innovation and entrepreneurship. At Bengaluru Tech Summit, where the world gathers to celebrate innovation, I stand here with a great confidence that Indian tech-driven future is being shaped in our classrooms, our labs, our universities, and in the minds of younger engineers. At VTU, we are committed to preparing them to be a problem solvers, innovators, leaders, and creators of tomorrow. These are all not just words. Really, we are putting a lot of effort and bringing a change in curriculum where to bring in more industry into academia, we have created a platform wherein students can acquire additional credits other than the 260 credits what they require. And all those who are in the platform are industries like L&T, Wipro, Infosys, everybody is there in our platform. Students can choose any number of subjects. Many students have acquired additionally 80 credits, 90 credits. We are giving some awards for that also. Students, community needs a support from industry, and we are ready to join hands with the industry, whatever they desire, in providing a curriculum or the content to get the students trained during their 4 years of course or academics and make them employable in the industry. And we are now bringing and gearing up the students, wherein the rulers of this country want India to be Vikasit Bharat when we are celebrating the 100th years of independence by 2047. Always I say to my students that by 2030, 5 crore engineers are required across the world, wherein if they simply say that numbers are there, if they say that they are going to get the job, it is wrong. They have to acquire, and for that, platform will be created along with joining with industry. And many industries are now showing, and they have partnered with us. I'm very happy to announce L&T, Infosys, even TCS. They have signed an MOU with us, and they have launched all their academic programs in our platform, making the students to use that platform to acquire the additional knowledge by way of acquiring an additional credit. Thank you one and all for your patience listening, and I thank the organizers for having given me an opportunity to say my thoughts in building up the future engineers. Thank you once again, one and all.
As innovation spreads beyond metros, industry leaders need to embrace and empower the exceptional talent emerging from our Tier 2 and 3 cities, the next catalyst of India's tech future. Thank you, sir, for your thought-shaping perspective on role of institution and industries in nation building. I request Naganagowda, Honorary Secretary, NHRD, Bengaluru Chapter, and Madan Padaki, President, TiE Bangalore, to give token of gratitude for our keynote speakers. Thank you. Innovation thrives when classrooms meet boardrooms, and today they sit together on one stage. Now I request our panel members on stage. Moderator for our panel, Dr. Naganagowda, Honorary Secretary, NHRD Bengaluru Chapter, is a strong voice bringing talent, leadership, and organizational excellence. Our panelist, Swati, VP Employee Experience, President, NHRD Bengaluru, a people-first leader shaping culture and capability at scale. Saraswati Ramachandran, MD and Country Head, Lightcast, a data-driven strategist remaining global workforce intelligence. I request our panelists on the stage. Dr. B.S. Satyanarayana, Vice Chancellor, Dayananda Sagar University, a champion of research, innovation and student-centric learning. Professor Soumya Narayanan, Founding Director, IIIT Bengaluru, a leader in digital education and a respected voice in India's tech evolution. I request the audience to be seated. The session will start soon. Yeah, now the stage is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Please settle down quickly. We are racing against time for the Future Makers Conclave in the afternoon. Your attention is highly appreciated. I know we have started a little late. It's our job to ensure that we will keep the panel discussion as short and as best as possible so that we have the great takeaway for all of us. Today, I think it's a great day for all of us in Bengaluru Tech Summit. I think this is a congregation of all the gurus in the world. I think, as they say, your GPS should be in the right place. It's not the positioning system. Guru positioning system should be in the right place. If you look at the people on the stage and the people who just delivered a session, Dr. Vidya Shankar, Dr. Sadhugoppan sir, Dr. Satyanarayana sir, and of course Swati and Saraswati, they're gurus in their own way. We have the best of gurus here with us to share their perspectives on the most boiling topic that every one of us are really concerned about and worried about. So the topic here is academia meets industry, reimagining the future of talent. I think the biggest challenge that we are witnessing, respected panel, today is we are preparing the talent for the future. We don't know the skills that exist in the future. But in such a scenario, how are we preparing ourselves, our talent for facing the future, and how do we co-create the future of talent together? So on that note, I will begin the questions because in the interest of time, we will go in the order of seniority. My dear friend, Dr. Sadhugoppan sir. Sadhugoppan sir and I go a long way. I have seen him. There are very few people who have direct connections with God. And we have a God with us today in our room. Sir, please guide us on the question of industry and academia coming together. Are universities moving fast enough to embed AI, sustainability, global business dynamics in their curriculum? Are we lagging behind? Are we in pace with the technological changes? What are your thoughts and suggestions for the future? Professor Sadhugoppan sir.
Thank you for your kind words, Naganand. See, broadly on AI and sustainability, we are actually for a change getting everything right. Many of you may not know, we are one of the few countries which actually had an AI policy way back in 2018. We had a task force. And now recently you would have seen in the last 1 year, government is committing a lot of investments. And Satyanarayana sir was talking, we are one of the few countries which actually had AI curriculum for the BTechs, etc., done by AICTE, hundreds of colleges teach, analytics, AI, machine learning, they have got things integrated. So academia is getting it right, government is getting it right, you guys in industries are getting it right, the startups are getting it right. For a change, the media is also getting it right. So, and government and media are working together, government and industry are working together. So I think we are getting lots of things right. And as we normally say, we have put the kettle on a stove, there is enough milk there is enough fuel there. Just be patient for the milk to boil. You have no control when it will boil. But we have done everything right. I am gung-ho about it.
Lovely. Thank you, Professor. Can we have a big round of applause? The energy that Sadagoppan sir brings is enormous, and he is a true inspiration for all of us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for those kind words. I don't know how many of you in this room are aware of a professional body called NHRD, National HRD Network. We are a group of HR professionals in the country. We are India's largest HR professional body. And I'm very delighted to have Swati Rustagi as the president of NHRD Bangalore chapter with us today. She also the Adobe CHRO Bangalore. Now over to you, Swati. Is there a role for CHROs, a formal role for CHROs in shaping the academic programs and influencing the curriculum design in the universities? What are your thoughts and inputs for us?
This is, anything I say is going to sound weird because it's like asking a CHRO, should you be part of something? Of course, yes. But let me explain that yes a little more. I think there is a unique opportunity for us, especially in this kind of time when there is a lot of uncertainty of what are the skills of the future, to co-create that and to envision that together, because there's a piece of the puzzle that's lying with the industry, there's a piece of the puzzle that's lying with academia, and to really come together is, I think, has never been more important than today when skills are yet to be predicted. And that's why that coming together is important. I'm not specifically suggesting CHROs, but any C-level executives. And I think having them very closely working with academia is more than important. And there are multiple models around this. I'm not suggesting that CHROs get in and start drafting curriculum, because academic integrity is important, and it's not really about just execution or getting it very tactical. But balancing the rigor of research and baseline credentialing with impact and outcome in terms of how it will actually evolve in the industry. And there are models around this, whether it's the Stanford model of live-in CHROs on sabbatical, or whether it is a model where you are actually partnering and having very conscious investments as companies in academic research and offering that. And I think you talked about, sir, government getting it all correct. And one of the things which I'm strongly advocating for the government to also do is to actually offer very conscious, and sometimes it's just about messaging, it's not about the money, but it's about actually offering conscious tax rebates for very senior professionals to start participating in recreating curriculums and actually teaching in universities, because that's going to move the needle in a very significant way. So, and again, it's not about the money or the tax at all. It's actually just about the messaging, saying we want you to do this, we believe it's the right thing to do. So I think I do see a formal role.
Sure. Thank you, Swati. I think all of us HRs, people see us as the demigods, because you are the one who create careers for people. Lakhs of people get jobs. You mentor, monitor, measure, and guide their careers in their journey. So essentially, CHROs play a very vital role. Thank you so much, Swati, for those inputs. When me and Madan, we were talking about who else should we have in this program co-created by TIE and NHRD together, we thought of Dr. Satyanarayana, Dayanand Sagar University Vice Chancellor, to share with us his perspectives on, sir, what do you think, how do we embed entrepreneurship and innovation in the mainstream education without making it as a very buzzword? It should not remain in the paper. How do you help us to make this as an embedded mainstream curriculum, and then what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, thanks for having me here among this wonderful panel. Just as a context, because the question says, how do we build in entrepreneurship and innovation as an integral part of the curriculum? Universities are supposed to be in the business of knowledge creation, comprehension, and dissemination, and not just advocacy. Unfortunately, for the last 75 plus years, we have been glorified parrots advocating knowledge from elsewhere. Research was incidental. So therefore, as you rightly said, most of the, small countries, Scandinavian countries to Israel to Ireland to say Taiwan and Singapore, they do not have shortage of talent, human resources when they are doing cutting edge provision. So all I want to say is, this has to be mandatorily inbuilt, and I just want to give a quick example, because saying something is one thing, but saying, can we do it? So in the last 15 years since I had a provision to come back from Japan and be associated in heading 6 institutions, we have worked with institutions, built a simple process of bringing in multidisciplinary, immersive, experiential learning into academics in every semester through project-based learning. So, and the assessment metrics for this project-based learning has to make sure that all the teachers work together and deliver an assignment together rather than each teacher getting a glorified photocopy of somebody's work and a better corrected English with Grammarly or something. So when this multidisciplinary experiential learning starts happening from the first semester, and you develop an assessment matrix which mandatorily includes the foundational skills that is being taught in all the subjects, the competencies that need to be built finally, because critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving are all some of the key requirements for innovation and entrepreneurship. How do you build it in? Along with nurturing equally the characteristic traits of the people. And all of this with a huge assessment metrics. And see, it could be even one topic, and because when any industry builds a product, even if it is one product, they go from the product to the specifications to the whole building process and the production quality control leaks for ISO. Same is for us. So we do with the product, and can we go backward with the quality assessment and project-based activity, and all students work together with each question for one student in a class of 60. What happens is when such project-based activity happen, I think in every semester, even with having simple fundamental subjects and not bothering to rewind the syllabus every semester, bring the assignment as a contextual correlation to the new emerging technology, a new government policy, a new product process that is happening, new ecological system, the political system or whatever you want to. The moment you bring in, I think we can generate product process solution, and I can just say that from my limited experience of last 15 plus years associated with the institution, we have been able to create about 2,000 crores of product process solution, enabling even MSMEs to earn for next generation semiconductor, next generation medical implant, surface coatings, to environment, to food processing products and solution, including students launching India's first Pico satellite. Students even say, as just now Dr. Vidyasankar mentioned, only last week our students launched a rocket, launched a satellite, recovered the launch vehicle, launched the satellite, studied the data, and also recovered the satellite. So all this was done in over 6 months of assignment and project, including using drones and having our own receiving station. Just for lack of time, I just stopped to say that next generation technologies, we have shown that we can build it here, and it can be built in by design with a systems overview and helping the teachers to do the project accordingly. Sky is the limit for us. Thank you.
Lovely. Look at the energy Satyanarayana sir brought in actually. Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful perspective. And now I go back to my very dear friend Saraswati. She's the managing director of a company called Lightcast, the global GCC. And she is, heart in heart, a very strong academician. She works with several institutions in the country to uplift the quality of education at all strata level. So Saraswati, I'll come to you with a very difficult question in my view. We as HRs, we keep reading World Economic Forum reports and so on and so forth. By 2030, 85% of the skills that exist today will not be there in the future. So when you're preparing the talent for the future, we don't know what skills are there. Saraswati, this is to you. How can academia and industry co-create a talent pipeline that anticipates jobs that don't exist today? And what is that we should do? What is your pearls of wisdom, suggestion, and input for all of us?
No, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Especially, it's a privilege to be here among the people who are shaping the DNA of the talent skill of the future. And to be able to share the stage with visionaries like Saragopan sir. And I believe in logically breaking down things and simplifying, right? So I have 5-step formula to whatever you said. First of all, we have to get into the era of intelligence loop and continuous intelligence loop. When I say that, it's about, not just about curriculum, right? There used to be a time where it is curriculum, you graduate, you get into employment. That is completely disrupted today. Today, industry is giving a lot of signal. We as Lightcast sit between these signals, right? So we see a lot of signals changing. We collect data from 200 companies, and we actually capture a lot of these signals, which is moving very fast. What didn't exist as a skill 3 years back, the roles that didn't exist, is completely evolving into something that we didn't even imagine today. But then, that is what we capture as future skill that is coming, right? So we capture the industry signal, and we then say, This is what we need to work with academia, where we are able to create these micro credentials, which is more hands-on practical solution, and it is not annual semester based, but really on an ongoing continuous basis where we are able to leverage this. And this needs to be project-based learning, right? So that it is more hands-on. Because one of the challenge, and I know we are graduating lot of engineers, and then there are also a lot of job openings, and everybody here saying that we are not able to get the right talent. So to bridge that gap, and I know a lot of things have been done already, right? A project-based learning is something that we also recommend based on what skills are evolving. Then comes the technology disruption, right? I don't think that has been new. It's always been there. The pace has changed. But when we started, we didn't know something like that AI will come, right? But we have adapted. We are the global learners, global producers of AI talent today. So when it comes to this talent and disruption, I'm sure we will cope up, right? The problem though is, are we just going to follow, are we going to lead? So that signaling is where we need to capture. And the other thing is when we look at what has been going well from an India market perspective, is we actually see 1-year internship now, which did not exist before. Probably engineering was the only professional course which did not have a year internship. Take MBBS or law, they actually do, or CA, they do a lot more internships. So I think that's one of the best practices that we have inculcated. And today, like Vidya Shankar sir said and like Sadagopan sir said, government, industry and academia all are interested and invested and have the same purpose. There couldn't have been a better time to shape the future of the skills for India, and I think we are set right in that sense. When it comes to co-creation, I think we have all got a role to play. We call what is RACI matrix in our work, right? So if we just lay out that RACI matrix, from an organization perspective, I know in industry everybody is paid to do the work, get more business, but our role in sharing the burden of how we shape the future of the skills is also on us. We can't sit on the table and complain we need, right? The demand side has to be participating and invest in creating that skill. While academia also needs to look at not 6 months, you know, if I just draw a flow chart, do we know the future skill? Yes or no, right? If it is yes, then we invest it into, you know, smaller segments saying, we continue to create cloud engineers. We continue to make this a course of 6-month semester, right? While also making sure we actually get more hands-on. If this future skill is not known, AI ethicist or you know, somebody who is going to monitor how the agentic AI is going to work, those are skills that are coming up. Those need to be more micro-credentials. And this is where co-creation matters, because these micro-credentials have to be coming from the industry, where we certify, we say, for you to be a cyber security expert, you need to do 10 skills right? And that has to come from industry in collaboration with academia. And I think government is already investing a lot in it. So I think, like Sadagopan sir said, we are in the right path. We just need to wait for us to be able to take off. While this is working in few colleges, we also have a social responsibility to make sure we are investing a lot more in training the teachers and also tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Super. Thank you. You realize the corporate leaders are greater and in-depth teachers than teachers themselves, right? Absolutely. Thank you so much, Saraswati. At this juncture, any one question from the audience to the panelists? In the interest of time, only one question. Keep the question very short. Yes, please, go ahead.
I have been working for 5 years in internship program to educate the students, but the major challenge which we face is the industry involvement. I am just a startup, so how do we connect with industries to ensure that they help us give the right curriculum, right guidance, and enable the employment for them? Because once we train them, the employment also has to be done. So what is the way to connect that thread is what is my question.
Whom do you address the question to? Who will take?
The sir.
Satyarana, sir.
I think, as already mentioned by others, the key is how do the industry, the government policies, the academics all work together. Especially today, knowledge life cycles have reduced to 36 months. Product processes 24, 12, or even 3. Even the learning skills are coming down to 12 to 6 months, depending on the domain. So at the pace at which this is happening, setting a syllabus and at 4 years, if you're going to finish all of that, it doesn't happen. As everybody already mentioned, therefore, project-based learning, industry and academia have to work together. And just to mention about skills, again, simply skilling per se, standalone is irrelevant. A 30-year surgeon expertise. Today, an automated robot can deliver that surgery with better perfection than his 30 years expertise. Therefore, it's, as I said, co-creation, co-learning, and proactively with the systems overview, how do we train them with problem solving and critical thinking linked with skills and the multidisciplinary approach, then I think it will be a win-win and we will be able to move forward. We as a university, just I'll take half a second. For example, to enable this as a new young university, for example, we are setting up a 20 DGX AI lab with complete CUDA platform and digital twinning Omniverse platform, an AR/VR platform to experience it. Everything is digitalized, so a complete cyber range with, say, cyber security requirements, advanced manufacturing capabilities from materials, electronics, mechanical, to even sensors and electronics in the next 12 to 13 months. We are saying we'll be willing to be an ancillary for a big company or as partner with a startup so as we develop both human capacity and the industry enabling, and we move and adapt with the change. Because as already all mentioned, change is so fast that we cannot plan for perpetuality. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, quickly in the interest of time, I think we are running late. Yes, please go ahead, Ma.
Yeah, I'll just add the number of students graduating to the number of students who get employed, that ratio will never match. So I don't think the dependency should be only on industry to be absorbed. We should teach everybody to be self-sufficient. 30% of our economy runs on MSMEs, right? So there is a lot more opportunity in every other aspect. So that is something we need to create more entrepreneurs, and that's when our economy also grows.
Thank you. Super, super. Now, fasten your seats. Some rapid fire round for the panelists. I have a lot of questions, a booklet I have created, but in the interest of time, Sadgopan sir, this is for you, the most interesting one. If AI could design a university curriculum tomorrow, what is the first subject it should delete?
Okay, I'll be brutally honest. There is a course called communication. Extremely important, but badly taught. It is so extremely important. It is so important. There is a person called Rakesh Godwani who actually does a course for the ISRO scientists and IASC professors. That important. But 90% of the colleges, the course they teach, the students come up with only one thing. Every fourth word is awesome.
Awesome.
It is so shallow.
Right,
so it should not be taught that badly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Lovely, lovely. Swati, this is for you. One thing academia does that industry finds completely irrelevant. What is it?
Only one?
Only one thing, yeah.
I think the one that I've never really understood is the deep focus on peer credentialing. And I don't know how that necessarily helps in today's context. It probably had a lot of sense, especially with AI, with so much information now. I don't know how that still helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Professor Satyarana, this is for you. If you had to replace the examination with one real-world test, what test would that be?
I think as already all of us have spoken about it, we are in the middle of a Barney world and a VUCA world.
Yes.
Okay, the Gen X and the Gen Z, Gen millennials are, the baby boomers. Plus some millennials, we are in the VUCA world. Yeah. Whereas the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha that we are teaching are in the Barney world, or the brittle, non-linear, anxious, and incorrigible or incomprehensible state. Yes. So the only place the two of us meet is when we work on project-based learning with a passion and aspiration. Sure. So the one thing that we have to truly avoid from an education system and bring a change is do away with all exams and university compliance norms, especially compliance agencies. You do formative assessment and with project-based learning and a well-defined metrics, as I said at the beginning, linking foundational competence and characteristic traits. A well-defined assessment, and at every stage learning happens, and that could be linked with associated microcredits, nano credits, university credits as needed, and with a multidisciplinary approach. I think India will be producing more innovation than anywhere feasible, and with the type of opportunity as India grows from 4 trillion to 32 trillion, when the world is supposed to grow only double in that next 22 years, we are supposed to grow 8 times, and that can only happen when we move with formative assessment, project-based learning, and do away with exams.
Professor, thank you so much. Give a big round of applause to Satyanarayana sir. This one for Saraswati. If you could abolish one outdated skill taught in the colleges today, what skill would that be?
I think more than skill, the manual writing report that needs to go. I still don't understand why we have to write it in hand and submit it. It is rote learning transferred into paper. We are wasting time, also paper and environment.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I don't want to stand between you and your lunch. I think the panelists have enormous energy, enthusiasm, exuberance, knowledge to make this as a true Jnana Dasoha session for all of us, but we'll keep it for some other day. I really thank all of you for sparing your valuable time, sharing your real wisdom with all of us, Professor Sadgoppan and the entire team. I think the time is ripe, now or never. We have been talking about industry-academia collaboration as a railway track for long enough. Time has come because in this room is filled with academicians, industry people. Please forget the differences, come together, co-create the future of talent for the future which is uncertain, very, very uncertain, very, very exciting, very, very challenging. On that note, thank you very much. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, panel. This was thought-provoking session. To felicitate our panelists, may I request Muralidhar, board member, TIE, on stage. Mr. Muralidhar. Meanwhile, there is an announcement. Request everyone to stay seated, please. If you would like to meet the speakers, kindly so do during this networking break outside the hall. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Muralidhar, and thank you, panel. Thank you. Talent is India's truest competitive edge, and today's discussion reaffirmed that. And now, a keynote on co-creating the talent of tomorrow. When academia and industry collaborate, talent doesn't just grow, it multiplies. Please welcome Dr. Abhay G. Chebi, Pro-Chancellor, Alliance University, a thought leader refining the collaboration between campuses and corporates. I invite Abhay Ji for his keynote address.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll wait for folks to settle down. We'll just wait for a bit to settle down.
May I request everyone kindly remain seated and allow the ongoing session to continue without interruption.
I request the audience to be seated. You can use the time for networking after the session. I request everyone to be seated, please.
On your cue, may I? Am I good? All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abhay Chebi, and what I'm about to talk here in front of you all is not. May I request a little bit of silence, if you don't mind? Just a 5-minute talk. What I am about to talk about, the topic and the depth of which and the magnitude of which we have spoken about here in this very hall, is not different. However, I'd like to emphasize this in my own way, showing it with certain examples that we have done, activities that we have carried out to bring this to fusion. Perhaps it's a hall filled with creators, disruptors, innovators, builders, dreamers, and all of that. But the line that I want to start this talk with a lot of thought is something to do with human momentum, and that does not and has not come from a historian or a technologist. It has come from an artist, and just to be sure, his name is Lauren Bacall. He said, and I'm quoting here, "In a world of accelerating change, standing still is the fastest way of moving backward." Now this is so profound, and I'm sure we all sitting here agree. As in the corridors I was discussing with somebody, it is so overwhelming these days. The world is changing. It's not just merely changing, it is in fact outrunning us. There are technologies that are beyond our fathom. There are inventions that we are not able to get a grip on in terms of how we can implement it. In a world like this, or a decade that we're moving into, where technologies are changing themselves faster than probably I should say the skills that we are gathering in our colleges and universities and otherwise. In a decade where startups are accelerating faster than the talent pipeline that we are all working towards growing, in a decade where you have a very small shelf life of skills, much smaller or shorter than cell phones. In a time like this, where capacity or capability of individuals and teams and companies is valued more than capital, a time where learning quicker has become a national competitive advantage, and in a time where we are all seated here in the Silicon Valley of India, or the East as few call it, we're building technologies for the future in AI, ML, DeepTech, Fintech, Agritech, Defense Tech, and you name it. We're building the future technologies, but are we doing it with the future talent systems or pipelines? Unfortunately, the sad reality, as much as we are enthusiastic as I am, we're doing it with a talent pipeline or systems of yesterday. And that is something that is unacceptable. We all know these statistics, but it is important for us to sort of introspect and see. Technologies evolve at a rapid pace. It has been said in the World Economic Forum that 65% of the jobs that our youth will be employed in the future don't exist at the moment. Almost 75% of employers globally, through the Manpower Group report, say that there is a shortage of talent, 75%, and India alone will have about 100 million young youth, more than populations of some of the countries, that will be getting into the market. So there is no shortage of talent. Technology is not lacking us behind, but relevant talent, a buzzword, I'm sure we've heard it today, relevant talent is a major, major hurdle. How do we overcome this? Academia and their rigmaroles of the day, industry and their own achievements that they have to achieve, government as being there and trying to facilitate and provide individually, and we've heard this and I'm repeating this, individually cannot and will not succeed. But this triangle has to be aligned, and this alignment will come only when there is a symbiosis. A symbiosis is the must, is a need of the hour. Industry by itself cannot change. Academia by itself cannot change this. But together, what we create, that is an entity that will change the future. These are some facts that I mentioned to you. But what have we done? I could have been here just talking jargons, but then I thought, let me take you through a journey of an institute, a private university, first private university in the state of Karnataka, which is doing this. At Alliance University, we have taken 3 fundamental steps. And those are as follows. We don't just look at curriculum, but we co-create the curriculum. Industry folks, almost about 40 plus from aviation, automobile, AIML, Fintech, Agri-Tech, and the likes of it, come together in various board of studies and don't just review or approve the syllabus, but they create it with the onus and promise and commitment of co-teaching it. So who does this? Someone asked, who will do this? It is everybody. If you are feeling the pain of graduating students who do not have the relevant skill sets, you do it. If industry feels that, ye kaise bacche aa rahe hain? Why are these folks not equipped with the right skills? You do it. Well, government feels that I need to do something, bring us both together, create policies and force us to implement, if I can use the word. What we have done at Alliance, we have joint program designed and delivered. We, in fact, have, people spoke about micro and nano credentials. We have curated it. If we don't have it, we've subscribed it. We have curated it within the university, and every area chair or faculty takes the responsibility of gathering industry people to co-teach their course. Yes, it requires a lot of effort. It does require a lot of effort, but what have we done? We mentor our students through industry folks, and they take pride in it. Executives from companies will try down themselves and come do this because they want to give back. There is a sense of belonging back in academia. Industry folks will also make sure that they mentor our students. We've not looked at technology as something fancy or marketable, but we have looked at technology as something that will solve the problem, that will bridge this gap that exists. Adapt use of learning management systems, adapt use of technologies such as AR, VR, setting up of centers of excellence. There are companies who are forthcoming, who say, you know what, we will invest this much. It is the duty of the academia or the educational institute to find funds. If we as academia, and I talk not just for Alliance, but all the academic community, if we function as what we were in the past, we will never do justice. We will never do justice. In fact, I'm glad to say that we have a very unique position at Alliance Chief Industry Officer, and he's here with us, Dr. Sudarshan. Why did we create this? It's need of the hour. It's better that universities bring industries inside campus, bring all that there exists within the campus and create an environment. Quickly moving on. Internships are not just for report writing and submitting, very rightly mentioned. But we should ensure that these are projects that a real industry or a company faces and we solve it. Try to have cooperative models. Finally, when we say, what job do I get? That's a mindset that we need to change. This is a mindset, if once changed, every student should ask, what is the problem that I can identify? How do I solve this? And how can it be better to the world? So in Alliance University, we've created a course called Solving for Bharat, wherein 80 plus problem statements have been solved. 12 student-led startups have been born out of it. And I would request you all to visit the Alliance University stall here, and our students will be proud of what they have done. Their inspiration, their motivation will take us a long while. Let me close this with a last quote, not from anybody, it's just something that I truly feel. The future of talent will not be created by academia alone. It will not be created by industry alone. It will be created when we both come together. So that entity should exist in every college, every school, every university. And this is a commitment that we should make so that we co-design, co-mentor, co-build, and create a future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for that powerful insight on co-creation and collective growth. Now I request T.R. Anand, Chairperson, Matrix Forum, to felicitate Mr. Abhay. Now in session 7, a candid conversation where expertise meets experience. Moderating this dialogue, Anuj Agarwal, founder and CEO, Xeon Group. Our moderator, Anuj Agarwal, founder and CEO, Xeon Group, is a leader in talent ecosystem. In our panel, we have Mr. Savyasachi Srinivas, country head, Collins Aerospace, driving high-tech engineering excellence and workforce transformation. Srinivas Raju, CEO, PiSquare, championing automotive technology and global workforce innovation. I request Anuj to lead this session.
Am I audible? Yeah, I think this is something which I do all the time because I want to grab the attention of the audience. Am I audible, please? Great. So, very, very good afternoon. I know we are probably closer to lunchtime. I've been talking to my co-panelists in the back door and talking about, hey, lunch is here and can we grab the attention of all the audience? And I think probably our conversation will hopefully lead to something which is very interesting, will keep you engaged and have a very, very meaningful conversation. I mean, BTS, wow, I think everybody should recognize and realize an event of this massive scale in our own city, Bengaluru. I think makes a very, very big mark. It also talks about how India as a talent hub, Bangalore as a talent hub. Bangalore is someone who has been employing over 1 million talent, specifically in the digital space, right? And it makes a very, very strong statement by doing something like this, which also makes me always feel that Bangalore is not just a talent hub, it's a transformation engine, and an event like this makes us realize it even more. The massive scale, the kind of engagement we are getting, the kind of outcomes which we are looking at. So I hope we'll have a wonderful conversation today. And I'll probably start with a quote by one of my favorite person, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Empowerment empowerment is the basis of all progression. I think a very, very strong line, a very, very strong talk, and I think it's something which makes sense to the theme we have today. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so today's world is about very rapid transformation. AI, automation, digital acceleration, all of this are redefining the way workplaces operate in a very, very massive manner. I was in a discussion yesterday and there was someone who was talking that today things used to change in decades' time. Then there are a lot of people who said it happens in a year's time. Today, I think every other day there is transformation happening. Every day when you wake up, you realize something has really changed. And that's exactly what we are here to explore. Why? Because I think empowerment will define how the change is adopted very quickly, very rapidly. And to start with, I think I have some amazing panelists with me who have not just been doing empowerment or transformation. I think they have been the change agents in ensuring empowerment happens. We have Srinivas, who is the CEO of BIEC. He has been working in multi-domain industry. He's been catering to different kinds of industries, and each of these industries has a unique problem in terms of empowerment. And then we have Sabyasachi, who has very diverse cultural experience with working with multi-country talent pool, and empowerment in that is a very unique problem. And probably we are going to discuss and come out with some meaningful takeaways for all the audience today. So when we get started, probably I'll get started with Srinivas. And Srinivas, I think I've been talking about your experience in automotive, semiconductor, and digital innovation space. What is the most unexpected way empowerment has changed how teams create, innovate, and solve problems, according to you?
Yeah. I think, again, the point is it's very relative from industry to industry, empowerment. Typically in the world of services, predominantly our IT sector has been in, versus we are evolving into a product and, with GCCs coming in, I think we are getting into more value engineering. In that context, I think any sense, and I very strongly believe, is empowerment is the way to go. That not only helps teams to fast-track development, but also own outcomes. And it gives them a sense of ownership and, involvement and all that increases. And more so relevant for Gen Zs that we're talking, will never like to be micromanaged, right? They should be given a direction and, clearly defined. I think give them their space to work. I'm very sure, I think we'll have better outcomes. At the same time, I think it again boils down to right teams in place, again, right project governance and those aspects in place. I'm very sure, I think that's the way to go. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, completely agree. I think Gen Zs are redefining job mobility, and obviously purpose and empowerment is the key to the progress. Savya, I think you have an amazing experience in leading cross-border engineering teams. What cultural or technological shift has most meaningfully empowered your workforce, specifically of the scale which you are managing at Collins?
Yeah, thank you, Anuj. First of all, such a pleasure being with folks like Anuj and Srinivas here, and always a pleasure to be at a forum like BTS. I come from an aerospace sort of industry where we touch, I would say, multidisciplinary sort of technologies. I would say the first shift happened, Anuj, when, we moved from, by the way, aerospace, typically how development is done is a typical waterfall life cycle, right? You do requirements, throw it across the wall, somebody does software, throw it across the wall, and by the time it gets to India, it was typically, okay, you guys just do the testing or verification sort of activities. I would say when we changed from a waterfall life cycle to when we moved to a more of an agile development, I think that was a few years ago. When I first felt work was getting more democratized and work was becoming more equitable for folks, especially in India or other low-cost destinations. Now, you asked an interesting question about technological as well as cultural. I would say it's been, the latest shift has been more with digital engineering tools coming in. And the shift culturally is the mindset of how to use these tools, right? It is becoming more of a shared responsibility and shared ownership. I'll give you a quick example. We do a lot of model-based systems engineering now, which requires multiple people to work on designs and design optimizations to figure out what will work best, in our manufacturing floor, as well as what will work best when that product ends up with our customer. And so our engineers now are taking part in design decisions. They are taking part in optimization decisions. They are making make versus buy decisions along with everybody else. So that's very, very powerful, and I would say has completely democratized, the landscape.
Yep. I have a follow-up question for you. I mean, what advice do you have to give to emerging tech leaders, and there are a few here, in balancing technical excellence with people empowerment?
So I would say, I don't think there's really a trade-off between technical excellence and people empowerment. I think they go hand in hand. I would say we need to as leaders, we need to start moving away from that concept of I'm the smartest person in the room to making all the people who are working with you smart and more empowered, right? So I think that's the concept we need to culture we need to adopt. It is a culture that promotes, I would say, rapid learning and extensive learning, so significant investment in terms of time for learning. I think the leaders need to adopt more of a coaching sort of an attitude rather than, command and control. And I think those kind of attributes will definitely build a much more sort of a high-performing team rather than, hey, I want you to do it this way.
Yeah. I think that reminds me of Steve Jobs saying that hire extremely talented people and just make way for them to do things. Very well said. So my question to Srinivas, as industry is evolving, specifically with AI and automation, how do you see the role of employee empowerment evolving over the next decade, specifically in your industry, considering you have been in automotive and semiconductor industry?
I think let's all of us accept the fact that AI is going to disrupt, right? We lose jobs, all that is there. I think three things which are going to happen. Work will change, workers will change, workforce pyramid dynamics also will change. I think these are three major shifts that will happen in this space. What I mean by that is, especially in the workplace pyramid side, the bottom of the pyramid jobs are basically going to shrink. What are the routine ones which needs to gets automated. And the next layer of the jobs become more specialized, the middle layer. And then the top of the pyramid basically gets hyper-specialized, right? I mean, that's the shift that we are seeing, and I think all of us need to get prepared. And the industry that probably both of us come from, the engineering side, especially auto industry, where we are, I think the way auto industry is seen in terms of transformation from architecture to the way the whole design of a vehicle is happening. I don't know how many of you all know, today vehicle runs on 100 to 300 million lines of software code. And that's the complexity that we are talking about, right? It's a software on wheels kind of architecture. So where safety becomes important, a lot of, both industries are very regulated, and, we all comply with functional safety, security, and reliability, and also, speed of development. And the way, we see the mobile designs are coming, you'll see new vehicles coming in the future, right? Because the new shift. In such a fast pace, I think one way to look at it is to empower people with right tools and help them innovate responsibly, and while have right guardrails in place to do it. Now, because the shift is, right now we are using human plus tech era, and then future is humans will have your digital agents, and that space we get in a very short next 2-3 years, you will see that happening. Right?
True.
So empowerment is give them right tools and support and innovate responsibly.
And probably that leads to a follow-up question from me and probably to both of you. So empowerment in generally translates to, like a lot of people believe, freedom, right? And given that you both operate in a space which is highly regulated, safety is the first priority. I mean, I'm assuming you are building a nuclear reactor kind of a scenario. You have to safeguard in every possible way and still drive innovation around it, right? So how do you effectively balance empowering your team members and ensuring safety and security is of the primest importance? Probably with both of you.
No, so we come from a unique industry, both mobility, he spoke about safety. For me, safety is paramount because, you know, we need to keep people safe at 40,000 feet, right? So for us, safety is a value and so is innovation. If you look at an RTX website and you open it or Collins website, you will see safety and innovation both being equally important and values for us. It is, by the way, if you're wondering, you know, why we are sweating, it is definitely challenging questions from Anuj, but it's also a bit warm. So, so bear with us and our shiny foreheads a little bit. But just coming back to your question, Anuj, if you look at today, we have, you know, we have our engineers who are innovating within a boundary, right? There is a framework. I mean, in general, empowerment, regardless of the industry, doesn't mean limitless sort of freedom, right? There's always going to be a boundary. For us, it's a little bit more constraining because of, you know, the safety and regulated industry that we are in. Think about it as a, you know, multivariable sort of optimization with strong constraints, safety and security or cyber being those sort of constraints. In fact, some of our engineers today, right here in Bangalore, are working with FAA and EASA to come up with how to put AI on board a cockpit. I will tell you, we, when it comes to an industry, are not the first to adopt technologies. Our friends in automobile do it a lot faster than we do. It's again because of the fact that how many of you would be safe, you know, flying in a pilotless aircraft or something that is being completely sort of maneuvered, you know, by a machine. So today we are working on a model called ML Certops, which is really a tool chain that will bring about certain amount of determinism in an otherwise non-deterministic sort of machine learning model, but at least it will make sure that it prevents, you know, some unknown effects of having machine you know, learning or AI algorithms in the cockpit. I can talk about a lot, but for the purposes of today's sort of discussion, I just wanted to let know that, you know, these are highly constrained sort of systems, and engineers sitting right here in Bangalore are working on that level of innovation, along with the regulation authorities, who, by the way, are not experts in AI/ML.
Srinivas, your thoughts?
I think adding to what Savya mentioned, I think automobile, while, you know, teams have autonomy to design, work on, or propose new solutions, but of course have to have a strong guardrails to ensure the safety and security. Why it is very important is, if you look at a vehicle running at 100 kilometer speed and somebody hacks into a vehicle, now you can imagine the situation, right? So you know, we are talking about two scenarios. We are protecting you know, humans from machines, that is the safety, and we are protecting, you know, machines from humans, which is security. So naturally, you know, we want to make sure, you know, do it right, and correct, while there is empowerment, and make sure they are also under the regulatory framework.
Sure. So I'll probably make it a little lighter. I've been very, very specific, drilling down to your industry and talking about it. I mean, one very probably generic question, but probably a very important question for the audience. How do you define workforce empowerment, and why does it matter even in today's landscape? And it's a generic question.
I think it has been relevant all the time. It's just about which industry are we in and to what level that we can give that empowerment, right? So especially in the product innovation, software, and where India is more looking at from a typical services model to getting into product development, IP creation, I think it's the right thing to do is to empower our youngsters and then make sure I think they come out with innovative ideas and solutions. You restrict them, and then naturally you're killing the innovation with people, right? And which differs from industry to industry. But I think the right way to do is, I'm sure a lot of them have adopted that kind of a culture today. Hence, we have seen a lot of success in terms of the kind of products that have been built for the world today from India.
Your thoughts, Savya?
Yeah, no, I would just add that, empowerment means different things in different industries. Again, for a safety critical industry like ours, where we want to keep people safe in the skies, yes, empowerment means autonomy for sure, but also I would say two more things. One is clarity in terms of where we are going, and also the ability, the trust that they can place within the organization, where we want our employees to speak up if they are able to see something that could violate safety or induce a threat into the system. So obviously, give them more autonomy to sort of innovate within the boundaries, but also very strongly the clarity in terms of where we are heading as an organization and how we are supporting our customers. But lastly, also, the speak up culture is equally important. For a diversified sort of organization like mine, where I have people in Europe and North America, decision cannot always happen, at the top. It has to happen at the edge. And so we are empowering more and more people across the globe to be able to make those decisions. And when you're solving as complex problems in our world, not one building or one team will produce all the results. It will happen at the edges. And the more you empower them, the better solutions you will get out of it.
Good, and I'll limit it to your thoughts and constraints which you have. But I mean, we all know empowerment is enabling future innovation. Can you share some kind of thoughts, examples, innovations which led or happened in your industries specifically because there was a lot of empowerment happening at the right places? If you can share some thoughts around that, that would be really helpful.
I think typically take an auto, right? You look at a good India story, our Mahindra, for example, vehicles, a two-wheeler segment. I think we're actually setting a new trend for the world, right? Right from design architecture to Indianizing a lot of stuff to understanding the Indian consumer behavior. And earlier it used to be somewhere the cars are designed and sold in India. Now everything is made for India, in India, our own OEMs are making it. I think you look at two-wheelers, especially the transformation in automotive is going to be very rapid, the way you see right from two-wheelers to four-wheelers and commercial vehicles. Improving safety, I think we have technologies like driver monitoring system to minimize accidents. Like for example, you see why major accidents happen is basically because of the driver fatigue, which is major cause. And how do you ensure, you have systems in place to help assist driver to stop where he needs to stop, that kind of innovation, right? So a lot of localization is happening in the automotive industry.
Maybe one quick example is, we have, nowadays Shark Tank is very popular, but we have similar kind of events that happen within the company where we provide engineers with seed funding for any good idea that they come up with. So one such idea, came up, which was bringing in a lot of automation in an airport. So this quickly, has got an IoT kind of a network that tracks all the assets on the airport. You'd be amazed how many things that need to be tracked on the airport to make sure there is no runway incursion, because you hear so many accidents. And one such idea came from an engineer who got a seed funding, and today it is actually a deployed product and deployed across airports in the world, even in Cochin International Airport in India.
Wow. Wow, that's a very, very interesting story. Okay, so I think we've had some level of discussion, some level of understanding of why and how empowerment has been playing a very, very critical role. And but probably we have shared some kind of insights to the audience in making them understand the power of empowerment and how it changes the future. But before we wrap up, I wanted to have some little fun because we have an audience which is probably meaning that level of attention. So let me do some rapid fire round and probably expect one word or a one phrase answer from each one of you. Share your thoughts and probably align it with empowerment in your manner. What do you think is future of work?
Digital native and more connected.
Adaptation.
Adaptation. Wow. What do you think will be the most important skill for 2025?
Curiosity and learning, I would say absolutely.
Same answer?
I think I'll go with this first answer, adaptability. You know, we should be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn in the current pace.
Completely agree. I think curiosity, learn, unlearn, I think all of this aligns so importantly. What do you see as the biggest challenge for leaders?
Navigating the change.
Yeah, I would say managing different generations in the workforce. That's a big challenge.
Correct. I think you have leaders to report who are probably Gen X, and then you have millennials who are working by side, and there are Gen Z who are in a different breed altogether. Great. Now the word Gen Z, what do you mean by that? What do you feel about it when Gen Z is the word which comes across to you?
More ambitious, risk-taking.
Fearless.
Yeah, I agree with you, Savya. I mean, I think we have a wonderful team full of Gen Zs, and sometimes you get feedbacks just like that, and they're properly fearless. I think probably we would not have done those feedbacks some time back. Now, AI in workplace, is it scary or is it exciting?
It is certainly exciting. Can you ignore? You cannot. So you only have to. Yeah.
I mean, definitely exciting. That's our future, so absolutely.
I think somewhere it's also scary and exciting, probably. Okay, one little personal question. What is your favorite Bengaluru hangout?
Bull Temple Road, Baswangudi.
How about you?
I think I live this part of the town, so Malleshwaram. So.
Good. Thank you so much, guys. I think really appreciate the insights, the energy, the enthusiasm you showed. I think as we leave the room, let's remember we are not just building workplaces, we are actually building an empowered ecosystem. So let's work towards it. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for the audience for having all the patience.
Thank you. Thank you for this candid and insightful conversation. Now I request Mr. Anand, CEO, Quantech Origin, to felicitate our speakers and moderator. After our eighth session, we have our robo joining us to take your questions, making the Q&A more seamless and interactive. That will be after the open house. Real change begins when dialogue becomes collaboration. Real change begins when dialogue becomes collaboration. Moderating this open house, Priya Chetty Rajagopal, Managing Partner, Multiversal, a respected leadership advisor and talent strategist. In the panel, Dr. Manish Kothari, Founder and President, ISBR, a driving force behind innovation-led education. Sridevi Hegde, MD and Board Member, India GCC Head, Varvent, a leader shaping global capability centers in India. Dr. Mahadevaswamy, Vice Chancellor, JSS University, a transformative educator guiding the next generation of learners. Let's open the floor to a dynamic dialogue.
Yeah. Guys, do you want us to start right away? Should we wait for a couple of minutes? Ati, you can guide us when we should start?
A request